I want to continue with my message on faith. Faith, I call it faith on assignment. Faith on assignment 3. And I'm reading from the book of Hebrews, same Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. I'm using the TPT version. I recognize it's not the best translation in the world. Please, I recognize that. I'm a Bible scholar. But I stumbled on it and I just could not resist but use it. You understand? So for those who may want to send me an email that this is not the accurate translation, I know. But I just need to use it today because it's just wonderful. And sometimes it just brings words out that is not really expressed somewhere else. So we are going to use it today. And it now says, let's read it together. It will make sense while you're reading with me. Ready, steady, go. Now faith brings my hope into reality and becomes the foundation needed to acquire the things I long for. You're going to repeat it again. Ready, steady, go. Now faith brings my hopes into reality and becomes the foundation needed to acquire the things I long for. It is all the evidence required to prove what is still unseen. It's all faith, as I said, is the foundation. And over the last 2 weeks, just a quick recap, I did say that to live on purpose, if you want to fulfill your purpose in life, if you want to be blessed in life, you must realize the importance of faith and its role in your life. You must recognize the importance of it, faith, and the role it takes in your life. You must know that. Faith is not just what faith are you. Many times people say, what faith are you? So you tick, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, and Hindu. That's not faith that we talk in the Christian fold. Faith is a living thing. Faith is what is important when every other thing does not make sense. And then faith, I said faith is 3 things. I hope you can remember for those who have been in church. Number 1, faith is what? Faith is a producer. It's a producer of good reports. You gain good reports by faith. Faith is a producer. Number 2, I say faith is what? A sustainer of the process. Faith sustains you through the process. Faith is a sustainer. And last week I said faith is a sustainer, which means it's called hypostasis. Hypostasis is what we stand on, and faith is what keeps us. Faith is under us and we stand on faith. So it's a sustainer, it is a producer, and faith is a fighter. We use our faith to what? Fight the good fight of faith. And faith fights 3 things in our lives. 1, it fights doubt. 2, it fights fear. 3, it fights defeat. You understand? So with faith, we're able to fight a good fight of faith. Now, this afternoon, I want to talk about how to live a life of faith and make the faith Jesus has given us as the author and finisher of our faith to work for us. How do we use this faith? So how do I actually develop faith? You understand? In me, how do I live a life of faith when life does not make sense? How does it become my producer, my sustainer, and my fighter? How do I develop it? What do I need to do to make me more than a conqueror through faith, by faith? Many times when we talk about faith or how to develop faith or how to have more faith or how to have strong faith, our minds immediately go to having faith in God, prayer, fasting, faith for miracles. And that's right. That's where it all begins. That's where it all begins. If you go to any church all around the world and they want to talk about how to develop your faith, they will talk about prayer. They will talk about the word of God. They will talk about fasting. They will talk about association. They will talk about all that. And I recognize that. And that's how it is. And I will speak about that. But I want to go from the last point and then work my way to the first point. I want to change something. I want to take a different approach this morning. I want to encourage you to look at something that we don't talk enough in church. I want to talk about something that would develop your faith. And because before your faith can develop, I want to talk about my fourth point, and then I'll talk about 3, 2, and 1 as the weeks goes on. So I'm going to the end, because if the end is not initiated, then every other thing just will not work. So today I want to talk about my first point in this series, where I call having faith in yourself. Having faith in what? In yourself. Say, having faith in myself. I want to have it. Listen to me. If you're going to move something greater than you, you must believe in the faith that is in you, not your own faith. That's something. You must believe in the faith that is in you, not your faith, because let him that would move the world must first be able to move himself. I'm not talking about pride or self-reliance apart from God. I'm talking about believing that God actually lives in you. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you. So when you doubt yourself, you're really doubting the God who made you capable. So when we want to talk about developing faith, God has to first deal with the way we see ourselves before he can deal with the way we should be. It is you. I want to deal with you today. I want to deal with the entirety of you. How do you have faith in yourself? Because if you don't have faith in yourself, nothing can move. So Numbers chapter 30 and verse 30 to 33. Let's start from there. He says, then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and take possession of it, for we will certainly conquer it. Verse 31 says, but the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people of Canaan, for they are too strong for us. So they gave the Israelites a bad report about the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we went in spying it out is a land that devours its inhabitants. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the Nephilims, the sons of Anak, are part of the Nephilims, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. I want you to look at that word. He says, we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. You need to listen to this because it's going to make sense. He says, we were like grasshoppers in our own sight. So they first looked at themselves and said they're grasshoppers. And then they made a declaration that the people in the land also sees them as grasshoppers. You need to know that. You need to know that. So because I'm going to allude to this. The children of Israel, regardless of the promise of God upon them that they will possess the land, they lacked the faith in themselves. Why? Because of the years of slavery, and they saw themselves as grasshoppers. But today I want you to juxtapose the children of Israel in the Moses generation and the children of Israel in the Joshua generation. So we were like grasshoppers in their sight. Let's read the Bible because the answer is in the Bible. Joshua chapter 2 and verse 8 to 9. Joshua chapter 2 and verse 8 to 9. Listen to what it says. It says, before the spies lay down. Now Joshua had sent spies over. This is like 40 years later. You understand? Because God said, because they didn't believe him, they are going to go around in the wilderness for 40 years. May that not be our portion, that our unbelief will keep us in the wilderness for 40 years. We can delay where we're going by our lack of faith in ourselves. So 40 years later, Joshua wants to walk into this same land, and then he sent spies. This time he sent 2, not 10. So you've got too many followers on your Instagram right now. He just needed 2. Listen to what he says. He says, before the spies lay down for the night, she went up to the roof. This is Rahab. He says, and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land. This is Rahab. He says, I know the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. If you read the previous one, it says, we look like grasshoppers, and in their sight, so we were. Didn't realize that 40 years down the line, the same children of Anak, the Bible didn't say they had left. It says, but they fear you. Verse 24 of that same chapter. It says, and they said to Joshua, when the spies came back, they said to Joshua, certainly the Lord has given us all the land into our hands. For all the inhabitants of the land have melted in despair because of us. There was, in fact, 40 years ago, they were shaking because the miracles of passing through the Red Sea, the defeat of Pharaoh in the Red Sea, you saw water coming out, the miracles were fresh. This is a new generation that didn't see what God did with them, but they were still fearful of the children of Israel. Now, the difference between the Joshua spies and the Moses generation was the belief in themselves that the Joshua generation believed that they can conquer. The Moses generation, instead of focusing on God, they looked at the size of their problem and in their own smallness and their weakness. You got to get this. You got to get this. The reason why the Moses generation didn't go into the land wasn't how they saw God. It was how they saw themselves. We looked like grasshoppers. And the reason they saw themselves as small is because they have spent 430 years in slavery, 215 from the time they walked into the land of Egypt, Jacob, and to the time of when they walked out, 215, but many theologians say it's 430 because they take it from the time Abraham left the Chaldeans. So for 430 years, they were nomadic. For 130 years, people were fighting them. They had this slavery mentality. And sometimes most of us carry that. The Bible actually says in Joshua chapter 5 verse 9, he says, before they could enter into the land, he says, God has rolled away the reproach of Egypt. Are you following what I'm saying? And many times we are caught up in what we are going through or what we have been through. These are the same enemies that the Israelites were afraid of 40 years earlier that they wouldn't go in. But what they were running from was actually afraid of them. What the children of Israel were running from were actually afraid of them. You realize that sometimes you are running away from a defeated foe. You realize sometimes you're running from stuff that God has already dealt with it if you would, but only if you would just move forward. And you're supposed to be comparing your giants to the greatness of God. But sometimes we lost sight of that and we start thinking, what's wrong with me is more powerful than what is right with God. Why? Because we've been in there for a long time. Let me give you an example to be able to help you. Many people will not buy a property. Many people will not move forward to possess their own property. Why? Because their great-grandmother, their grandmother, their own mother, or own great-grandfather, great-father, their own parents never bought a property. So they will not buy that property because they feel there's a fear. Oh, we can't buy that property. I was dealing with a couple one time and they were about to buy the property and they had to come to me, Pastor. My wife is not on the same page as me. I said, what's the problem? Why can't you go for it? What if I lose my job? And what if he loses his job? So you see, the fear, he says, because I saw my parents struggle. So the fear of what they had encountered, what she grew up with, has enslaved her. So although she has left Egypt is still in her. Many people will not marry or stay married because everything they have heard or seen has kept them in a holding pattern. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And a change of location doesn't change your position. I shared this story with you before. I'm going to share it again. Maybe it will buttress the point. You understand? And just for some people who have not been here when I've shared it before, but you're going to hear it again until Jesus comes. I was born in Lambeth, Vauxhall. And then my dad, without my permission, decided to take me back to Nigeria. You understand? Without my permission, to where my wife comes from. And then I went there. And I spent quite a number of years there. Did my tertiary education there. And when I did my tertiary education there, we were not rich. We were poor. I didn't say Africa is poor. I didn't say that. Don't misquote me. I didn't say that. In fact, if you want to invest now, the most emerging market that is making money is in Africa right now. I promise you, you won't lose. I'm telling you, you won't. It's an emerging market. But we were poor. I didn't say the country was poor. I need to make emphasis because everything goes online right now and they can cut and paste. If you cut and paste, I will curse you. I didn't say that. I just said my family was poor. My family was poor. We were poor. We struggled. You understand? Although we had our own house, but it just didn't work. So I knew that the only thing I have that has of any value is that I'm a British citizen. You understand? I could come back to Britain. So I decided that I want to leave this poverty and make something with me. But location does not change poverty. Yes. As soon there was no Japa at that particular time, but it's an equivalent. You understand? As soon as I picked myself up, poverty entered into my portmanteau. Many of you don't understand what portmanteau means. Now, there's a difference between suitcase and portmanteau. You see, what you have these days is suitcase. You know something that you will, it's got 4 wheels. I just walking to the airport. We didn't have that. Portmanteau is something that is big and hard. It weighs like 5 kg. So if you have 23, you've got only 18 left. You understand? It was hard. It was solid. There were no wheels, so you have to carry it. You understand? Well, we were so happy we could still travel. But inside my baggage, poverty went in there. So I traveled 6,000 miles with poverty screaming in my bag. It entered into my bag without any stuff. Why? How did I know? Because I struggled for years in the United Kingdom. Struggled year after year. For 7 years, I only had a 120 pounds increase per year on my salary. Per year. Struggled. Until I met my wife. When I met my wife, we started to pray and all that kind of stuff. But this is where I knew. I didn't realize there was a poverty mentality. I did not realize. We had this car. We've spoken about it. My wife has spoken about it. The car is called PLS. PLS is a Toyota Corolla. You understand? And we can't pick people. We can't give you a lift. Buff, Lulu Bread. We can't give you a lift. He sells it. We can't give you a lift. Why can't we give you a lift? Because the car, when it rains, water comes from the rear screen into the car, onto the seat. So we can't, if someone says, can you give us a lift? We quickly dodge. We quickly move around. That's the first thing about the car. The second thing about the car is I can never park my car on a even ground. I have to park it on a slope. Some of you will not realize that. Number 3, I cannot buy an automatic car. I have to buy a manual car because every morning I have to use faith to make that car work. And if it doesn't work, my wife will suddenly put, oh, thank God for wives. They'll just push the car. It will go down the hill. I'll put it in gear 2. Take my feet off the clutch, and you just say, and then it starts to work. That's the way. Find a car like that, and you expect. May you not experience what we experience, but just for fun. Yeah, that's how that car works. So think about this. And I remember we were in church one day. I'm going somewhere. We're in church one day, and we're coming back from church, and a lady said she wants to take a lift. And she said, can we give her a lift? We tried to dodge her, you understand, but she was insistent. The only problem is that she's going to sit at this back of the car. The back of the car is already wet, and she was wearing cream. It was not the best day in our lives. She sat there, he was wearing cream, and before you know anything, we were under A406 traffic. As soon as the lady got up, as soon as we got to Plasto, and she got up, we looked behind her, and there was a map all the way. I was like, Jesus, have mercy. And she said, oh, it's wet here. I said, sorry. Sorry. That was the kind of cars we were driving. I was always taking it to the mechanic and all that kind of stuff. Now I'm talking about poverty mentality. Listen to what happened. So my wife and I started to believe God, bro, for a car. I thought they taught me that when you're doing a prayer of agreement, you should hold each other's hands. That's what they told me in Pentecostal tea. And so every time we'll hold each other's hands and we'll start believing God, God, a car, God, a car, God, a car, provide us a car. After 3 months, for one strange reason, I just asked my wife, I was believing God for a Honda Accord, 10 years old. Like, 10 years is bad. It's okay. I'm 15 that I was driving. You understand? She was believing God for a Mercedes Benz. So I just asked the question, what are you believing God for? She says, I'm believing God for a Benz. I just left her hands like, Shando Boho Kataya. What are you talking about, woman? What are you? I'm frugal. You're frivolous. Why? Because there was a poverty mentality. We didn't finish the prayer that morning. She went to work, I went to work. As I was driving the police car, I was angry with her. Which kind of woman did I marry? However, because she grew up in a different atmosphere, I was just like, what? And then something was telling me that, you pray 3 hours, nothing happens. She prays 15 minutes, God answers her prayer. There's something wrong with me somewhere. So I just decided, when she got home, as soon as she got home, she walked through the door. As she walked through the door, I just said, babe, how are you? And then I jumped on her back. That's all I did. Jumped on her back. She piggybacked me. Said, what are you doing? I said, I will piggyback on your faith. You see, I am sitting on you. You just go with faith and the car will come. I will just be on. Because you see, right now, this brain cannot compute a mess. I can't. 3-4 months down the line, by that time, I've been doing some IT exams. I had passed the exams. They gave me a job. And with the job came a £500. This is 1998. You understand? It comes a £500 car allowance. And in those days, when they give you a £500 car allowance, you must spend it on a car. You must show them. You must give them the receipts and monthly and petrol stuff and all that. And you must buy a car that is worth that £500. Guess what? I walked into Mercedes-Benz. They said monthly stuff is $329. I'm like, I'm ready. But as I sat there, I said, can you give me a manual car? The guy looked at me like, huh? What? Poverty. I knew that if this car breaks down, I can... And the guy looked at me and says, you know, these kinds of cars, they drive you. You shouldn't be driving it. Like when you're in traffic, you're supposed to just relax. I'm like, okay. Give me automatic. I bought the car, and to be honest with you, this is where Egyptian poverty mentality can occur. As I was driving the car, picked a new car up, and I was driving home. I said, this didn't sound right. There's a sound here. Because all the cars I have driven always make funny sounds. That has to go to the mechanic. So everything was ingrained. And I got home, said to my wife, we got the car, and all that was all kind of stuff. But you see, poverty comes by association too. Because when I invited my twin brother to come and bless the car, we were in the same boat. We were both poverty. So when the car was parked in front of my house, I took him out. I said, guess what the car is? He walked past. I lie not to you. He walked past the car. And when we got to the end, I was walking back behind him. I said, this is the day the Lord will turn around our reproach of poverty. Walked down the line. He could have said, so where's the car? I said, you passed it. He walked back and he walked past the car again, and we walked he says, where's the car? I said, you walked past it. And then, forgive me about this, what I'm going to say, because I'm going to use my wife's native language here. As we were going, I said, let me show you the car. All our cars in those days, you put the key inside the door, and then you open it. This car was just press a button. As I pressed the button, the lights came out. The inner light came out. He says, hey, BC. That's all he says. Now, let me interpret what I mean by that. They say, in my wife's life, it means debt. He says, you've gone into debt. Only says, debt. I said, which debt? I says, which debt? He says, can you even the question is, can you even afford the tires? If something goes wrong with the tires, can you afford it? I said, who in your lineage, your grandfather, great grandfather, nobody ever drove a good car? I'm breaking that yoke now. 3 months down the line, my twin brother went to buy a car. He says, come to my house. I came to his house. I said, I bought a car. I said, guess what it is? I just went to the first Mercedes I saw. I said, that's the car. He says, how do you know? I said, I broke poverty long time ago. What are you talking about? My dad came 3 months, so we're 6 months down the line. We picked him up at the airport. We had given him money to buy a car. He was doing behind the car. Congratulations, congratulations. 2 days after that, he sits me down. He says he just called Nigeria and found out that the car he wanted to buy is already sold. I said, how? He says he needs to buy another one, so he needs more money. I said, how? We go buy the other. He said, no, I don't want to buy the car. I said, so what car do you want to buy? A Mercedes. I want to buy the same car. And guess what? God provided, and we bought it for him. You understand? There must be a time where poverty is broken over our life. And I'm not only talking about poverty in terms of money. It could be marriage. It could be relationship. It could be sickness. What happened in your lineage does not have to happen upon your own life. It's all by faith. Is everyone hearing what I'm saying? So I'm going to give you three quick things that will help you. How to have faith in yourself. How to create an atmosphere of faith within you. Number one, recognize who lives in you. Recognize who lives with you. I got to do this quickly. I got to get you out. Recognize who lives in you. Tap someone beside you. They've been sleeping. Say, recognize who lives in you. Okay. Listen to me. You can't have faith in yourself until you know who is on the inside of you. 1 John 4:4 says, greater is he who is in you than he that is in the world. I told you it's not your faith, it's his faith. When you understand that God dwells on the inside of you, confidence comes. I may be single, confidence comes. I may be divorced, confidence still comes. I may not have a job for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, 1 year. Confidence comes because I know who is on the inside of me. I'm not saying that I am perfect, but I'm saying that I am powerful through God who lives on the inside of me. I want somebody to remember this. Upstairs, downstairs, in the side, online, please. Listen to me. You are not an ordinary person trying to do extraordinary things. Somebody just missed that. You are not an ordinary person trying to do extraordinary things. You are carrying the extraordinary on the inside of you. Please, wake up and put a smile on your face. The word extra and ordinary come together. So what God does above is God puts the extra on your ordinary and makes you extraordinary. And then he puts the super on your natural and makes you supernatural, because it's all about God. Can I ask you a question? Is it possible that your enemy knows more about you than who you are? Than he knows more about you than who you are, what you do. And is that why he's been fighting you? Is it possible that the trial that you're going through is actually a testament of the power that lives on the inside of you? Because it's so unfortunate that the Moses generation did not actually recognize that those in Canaan knew that they were weak compared to them. They didn't even know. But the Joshua generation, they knew, because they told them that, yeah, we are afraid of you guys. And there are many people sitting with here in church that does not recognize that boss doesn't like you because they know you are better than them. Something in you speaks greater than them. They're fighting something in you. And that's why David did not depend upon himself. David says in Psalm 18 verse 29, he says, for by you, not by himself, by you, I can run through a troop. By my God, I can leap over a water, or over a wall. And you know why he knew that? Because he defeated Goliath, he defeated the lion, he defeated the bear. Not by his strength, not by his power. He knew that by God, I can do that. So, Pastor, how can I recognize how can I recognize who lives on the inside? How can I have that confidence? I want you to write this down, put it down. Remember God's reputation, not yours. Somebody needs to understand. Remember God's reputation, not yours. Some of you have developed a reputation with yourself that does not reflect your reputation in heaven. God doesn't see you like that. God doesn't see a weakling, doesn't see a sinner, he doesn't see somebody who is defeated. He looked at Gideon and he says, you are a mighty man of valor. And the gap between your reality and your reputation with yourself could cost you the opportunity to see God use you in the future. And if you don't deal with it, you will miss it. Listen to this, we can do very few things in a positive way if we feel negative about ourselves. Can I say this again? You've got to remember God's reputation, not yours. Why? Because God's reputation is the basis of my faith, not mine. God's reputation. Do you know about God's reputation? God has a reputation of picking ordinary people and making them extraordinary. God has a reputation of looking at an Abraham who had no child and says, you will be a father of many nations. God has a reputation of taking 5 loaves and 2 fishes and making it feed 5,000. God has a reputation of knowing that people are thirsty and says water shall come out of a rock. God has a reputation to walk into your life, and when there's no wine at a wedding, he's the God that can turn water into wine. God has a reputation that when you're looking for money to pay taxes, he orders a fish and says, bring that money out of your mouth and just bring it to me. Because God has a reputation of changing things. God has a reputation when there's nothing makes sense, he will go before you and make the crooked path straight. He has a reputation of making a way where there seems to be no way. So when I need something to happen, I do not follow my reputations or my CV of failure. I look unto the Almighty God who never fails, who can never fail, and I say, God, it's your reputation. I have more faith in myself because I have my reputation in God, because it's not by power, it's not by might, but it's by his Spirit. God has a reputation. The first hour is to recognize. The second hour is to reshape what you see. Reshape what you see. I need to finish this quickly. Faith requires a vision. To have confidence in yourself, you require a vision. You've got to visualize it. You've got to become what you see. You can only possess as far as your eyes can see. What you can't see today, don't expect to get it tomorrow. I know you've heard a lot about visions, but I just want to encourage you, because Zig Ziglar said it is impossible to consistently behave in a manner that is inconsistent with how we see ourselves. Throughout history, progress has been made only by people who have seen things that are not yet here. Social, economic, architectural, medical, scientific achievements owe their conception to the birthing power of a vision. One man was walking down the street one day. He had, these cassettes that we had. You understand? Before, this cassette, we put it inside. What do we call them in those days? Walkman. Yeah, he was walking with a Walkman. And then he found the Walkman was not working with his vision. He suddenly was just angry. And then, those tape, it got tangled. He was walking into Apple with that, the air, not the AirPods. He had, those things you attach to it, and then you've got that tangled wire. He just picked that Walkman and he threw it in the bin. He says, walked into his office. He says, we're going to try to develop something where music will be on a small device. And what did we have then? iPods. That's how he gave birth to iPods. And one day he was using his iPod and then he was using his phone. And he says, this doesn't make sense. How can we take the iPod and put it on the phone? And then we had what? The iPhone. We had every single music on earth that you can have on that single phone plus every other thing. Do you get what I'm saying? And then one day he was so angry with the entanglements that he says, let's have a Bluetooth. I said, these guys are thieves. I will not buy it. Guess who has it today? I have it. Because if you don't have a vision, you will follow those who have a vision. A vision, a vision. As far as you can see. So in Genesis chapter 13, I need to go now, verse 14. It says, after Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abraham, look as far as you can see. Look as far as you can what? I didn't hear you. Look as far as you can what? There's something in the seeing that you need to know. Look as far as you can see in every direction. North, south, east, and west. Who told you that you cannot have that shop? Who told you you cannot start that business? You go to the place and you see it. You know why? Eyes, I've said this before, eyes that look are common. Eyes that see are rare. And that's the reason why somebody will say, oh, I'm going out with this guy. Where did you find them? In church. Oh, I didn't see her. You didn't see her because you were looking. You're not seeing. You're not seeing. You're looking for the 666, 6 figure, 6 feet, 6 pack. You understand? And suddenly, the girl doesn't see 6 pack, 6 figure, 6 feet. She sees a 5'9", 5'8". And then sees that he has more reputation, more honor. He more maturity than what she was running before. And she picks up, walks down the aisle. And the guy that had 0 pack suddenly changes his diet and now has 6-pack, carries her every single day because she could see. My wife could see that this same boy that was earning 700 pounds, there is more to it. You keep looking, you will not see. Guys, you are seeing BB all over the place. Be in front and be at the back. You understand? You're adding the L's to it, and all you're going is you're just looking there. You think that the B will make you love her. It will not make you love her because everything will still obey the law of gravity at one point in time. And if you don't understand, she's slamming. She will slam you very soon. You understand? Because you are just looking. You must be able to see behind what you are looking. Because the greatest gift given to man is not the gift of sight, it is the gift of vision. Sight is the function of the eyes, while vision is the function of the heart. You might be blind, but you may have a vision that will make you successful. By the way, Ray Charles was blind. Stevie Wonder is still alive. He's blind. Helen Keller was blind, and they did great and mighty things in the earth. Mark Lucado, he wrote, he says, faith is trusting what the eyes can't see. Eyes that look, they will look at the prowling lion. Eyes that see will look at the angelic host that will muscle the mouth of the lion. Eyes that looks at the storm. Eyes that see Jesus and Noah's ark in the storm. Eyes that they look at the giant. Faith that sees, he sees the Canaan land. Your eyes will look at your faults, but your faith will see your perfection. You must see yourself as a movement, not a monument. God asked Jacob, what is your name? He says, Jacob. God says, that's what you're looking at. I am seeing Israel. I'm seeing a nation. God looked at Gideon. Who are you? He says, I'm trembling. I'm the least of my fathers and least. He said, no. I see you as a mighty man of valor. If you're going to have faith, you need to restructure and reshape what you see. Because if you keep looking at your weaknesses will come against you. But God wanted to see your step. So it's your strength. So listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me conclude with this in this part. Stop magnifying your flaws. Start magnifying your purpose. They take you out for dinner and you sat down. And the first thing is you turn the dinner into an interview. Eat the good food, man. And when you finish, we can now go into discussions. But as soon as you see that, I'm not a very good person. I like somebody like this. I always get angry. I get flustered. And the guy is looking at you like, okay. Afterwards, you say he ghosted me. No, we ghosted your flaws. Show them that this is my purpose. This is my life. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Because nobody wins a battle by paying attention to the magnanimity of the problem. What you focus on, do you focus on the problem or do you focus on the promise? Because what you see is either a mistake or a message. You either see a victim or you see a victor. But the greatest things that I achieved in life was first a dream. So you've got to do one first thing. Recognize who lives in you. Reshape what you see. And the last thing before they kick me off this stage is react to the promise. React. Help someone beside you. Be careful though. And say react. React. Turn to someone. Say to them. Say recognize. Say reshape. Then react. Come on, turn to someone maybe behind you or in front of you. Say recognize, reshape, and react. Pastor, what do you mean to react? I said react to the promise. Act on it. Action is the first evidence of faith. My time's gone. What happened? Oh, they did something for wifey. No wonder. I'm like, I really keep to time. Sit down, everyone. Action is the first evidence of faith. Action. Faith is not faith until it's mixed with action. James chapter 2 verse 28. I want to use 3 different translations. First one, the Good News translation. It says, so then, as the body without the spirit is dead, also faith without action is what? Dead. Go to the next one. The English Revised Version says, faith that does nothing is what? Dead. Weymouth translation says what? Faith without corresponding action is dead. You got to move. And this is the reason why I do not understand. Many people are lazy and they are prayer warriors. Their brain is on holidays. So they like to go to those prayer things all over the place. Wembley. Wherever they have it. They like to. How? I know people are going to kill me, but I'm going to say this anyway. I'm in London. How do you go to a prayer meeting from morning till evening, 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Are you that lazy? And you call yourself a businessman? They should not see you. Your gift is the money that you make in your business. So 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning, 5 a.m. maybe they go to work afterwards, but 10, 11, 12, Makata, Udos, Indaka, Usha, Anda, Asha. And they put their burden upon God, and God said, no, you've got to act. I was speaking to one of my sons yesterday. I said, you guys, he was talking about some things that him and guys do and all that. I said, you are powerful when you're together, but you're weak when you're alone. We like to come together. We like hearing nice sermons. We like to have brotherhood. We like podcasts. We fire ourselves up. But when you stay by yourself, are you disciplined? Can you see this through? That's why you may not like this church, but you need to show action. I'm not paying over your debt when you have credit cards. Cut the thing. I'm not paying over your debt when you're going to Marrakesh today, and then you're going to Braga tomorrow, and then you're going to Porto tomorrow, and then you're going to every place we see you at the wedding. And you're in debt. And each time you go for each wedding is £1,500. And you've gone for 6 this year. Somebody multiply it who I sent to school. If you multiply that, you'll find out how much that is. And then you call me, you're dead. And then you say, let's have a prayer meeting. Prayer meeting for what? I cannot remember the last person I prayed for that they're in financial difficulty. No, let's do action. Do you have a budget? Because God weighs your action to prove your faith. When God told Abraham to leave, he did not sit down to draw a plan. He acted upon it. Joshua did not see the walls fall before he started marching. The woman with the issue of blood, she said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. So she moved herself to move the problem. She what? Moved herself to move the problem. And many of us are just not moving. We are good prayers, good with the word, good with talking, but we are not moving. And if you don't have faith in yourself to move, nothing will move in your life. Joshua chapter 1 verse 3, I need to round up right now. It says, every place the sole, listen to me, every place the sole of your feet will tread upon, I will what? I will give it to you, as I said to Moses. Genesis 13 verse 17 says, arise, walk through, arise, walk through, arise, what? Walk through, arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it to you. He didn't say arise and sit down. He says arise and what? Walk through the land, because there's something common in both scriptures. God gave the promise, he instructed them to take the action of walking, and as they were walking, it started manifesting. You got to do something. Faith is starting out before you know how it's going to come out. Men or women of action, and women and men of distinction. Get ready to step out, because until you step out, you will never stand out. No matter how slow, listen to me, if you don't miss anything this man says today, listen to this one thing. No matter how slow your steps may be, take them anyway. One wise man says, if you cannot fly, please walk. If you cannot fly, he says, please run. If you cannot run, please walk. And if you can't walk, just crawl. But by all means, just keep moving. I don't have a job, keep moving. I don't have a house, keep moving. Peter didn't know he could walk on water until he stepped out of the boat. You will never know what you can do until you try it. Try it. Try it. Get rid of the credit card. Do the budget. Stop depending on overdrafts. Start the business. Improve yourself academically and socially. Get married. Huh? You've been waiting for all this. Get married. Step into it. I'm not too sure. I don't know how it is. Step into it, bruv. All of us stepped into it, and God helped us as we got into it. You're still making calculation. I need to buy the 6,000 pounds engagement ring, and then I need to set the place up. Don't set nothing up, bruv. Don't set anything up. Whatever you have, give to her. By faith, you will know if she's yours or not. If it's 200 pounds, put it on. And some women are about to hate me. I don't care. I'm trying to get you married. It's too expensive these days, isn't it, bro? It's just too expensive. So not only, bro, you've got to get the engagement ring, but you now have to set the scenes. The flowers alone, which is going to die. If you can afford it, God bless you. But I'm just talking to my homies that we're just believing God to eat the next meal. What's the matter with you? Is in your whole life, have you put on a ring of 2,000? And is that ring, is that going to keep you? The first thing that goes on when there's a fight is even the engagement ring. Why would I spend money? It's called investment. I'll invest in you afterwards. So I've changed that ring after 20 years. That's good investment. Start. If you can't do a big wedding, come to church. We do registry wedding. We lay hands upon you. 1 year after that, after you've bought your property, we go to Braga. Can I say this to some of the young ones? Nothing kills self-belief faster than comparing your journey to someone else. Faith in yourself means I'm trusting God's timing for my pattern. When you compare yourself, you lose focus and you lose trust. You do not gain strength. Faith in yourself becomes a reality when you take action. So I am not going to compare myself to Olumide's journey. His journey is entirely different. We can't. He's got hair on his head. I don't have any. So why would I compare myself to him? But faith says to myself, I recognize God is on the inside of me. Even if everybody seems to be making progress, God is on the inside of me. I still have a vision. The only reason why I'm not as fast as you is because I've reshaped my mind to have a vision. And then following, I am reacting step by step, line upon line. I will get to the promised land. Did you get anything from me today?
We'll just keep on praising.
Let's bow our heads.
Oh yeah, you see people taking their place in your love. Oh yeah, as you keep your love. Everybody's good, let's roll. So come on if you're good to go. We don't care if you like it. We'll keep it moving till the night's up. Even if you wanna fight us, we'll shut it down and put the lights up.